we have new challenges that we will encounter. Even the absolute like world-class mindset coaches in general, they go and they work with someone or do exercises for themselves to be able to uncover those and identify them.
How can you fast track yourself to financial freedom? We're here to share with you 5 ways to replace disempowering beliefs with empowering beliefs. And once again, I got with me the amazing guest speaker, mentor, and coach, Marcy LaBelle. Hi, Marcy.
Hey, Joachim. How are you today?
Thanks. Thanks for joining me again for Financial Success Secrets. Let's dive into it so you can experience more abundance, more wealth, and live life at your own terms. Because I know it somewhere deep inside you, you know that you desire this and you know you deserve this. A couple of weeks ago, Marcy and we had an amazing chat. Marcy shared some really powerful insights from one of her mentors from one event that she'd been to. And we're going to build upon this today with adding and going deep into the disempowering beliefs, how we can replace them so we can take control instead of maybe letting that little monkey mind, little voice, the inner critic, whatever you call it, instead of letting this control us, that we take charge of our lives. And one thing that can be very helpful is visualizing, already seeing ourselves achieving or having accomplished what we want to have achieved, that we really step into the goal. We see ourselves there, we step into that position, we breathe away, we see it as already happened, that we have achieved what we really want to have achieved. And this is to really like prime ourselves to feel that we are accomplished and that you tell yourself you already experienced it, so you can increase your motivation to really work on your goals every day. Marcy, do you have any experience with this?
I do, yes. As a matter of fact, so I actually developed like a practice for myself around this on like a daily basis. So when I go through, I do what I call like my morning power hour, if you will. And a big component of that is actually visualizing my goals and visualizing those being already accomplished. So rather than thinking about them like, oh, as if I'm, achieving it now in the present moment, as if I've already achieved it, as if I'm already in that space. And going through and really, getting crystal clear on what does that look like? What does it smell like? What does it sound like? It's like imagining myself actually there. It's happened. And doing that on a regular basis. So I have like I said, a daily practice. I think that really helps. And it really helps to rewire your mind. So, when those neurons are firing, I think some people have heard when the neurons that fire together, they wire together. So we want to continually reinforce the pattern of having that wealth mindset, of seeing ourselves accomplishing those goals, of, seeing whatever the outcome of the financial goals are. So maybe there's a specific, dollar amount or something that you're looking to achieve, but what's the outcome of that? What's the result? What will that allow you to have? And what will that feel like inside you?
Marcy, I love that you put emphasis on, there were 2 key distinctions here that I picked up on. First and foremost, you said, be really crystal clear. So know exactly what you want. And that brings us into goals. When you set your goals, be smart about them, be specific, make sure it's measurable, that it's achievable, realistic, and time specific. And then stepping into this. And as you put emphasis on like, see it, smell it, breathe it, and really stepping into that. I love that. And your morning routine as well. I do something similar. I do Tony Robbins priming track. So that's a 15-minute track with practicing gratefulness, being appreciative. And part of this is stepping into, the goals, seeing things as already accomplished. And that brings us to the second point, Marcy, with it's all about shifting our focus. Be really aware of where do we put our energy, and we want to put our energy to what's possible, what can we achieve, and who do we need to become. And you might have picked up on that there are already some questions, and it's the power of questions that we can use as well in order to support this first thing with visualizing, see ourselves there. Like, who do I need to become to achieve what I want to have? Marcy, are you using any questions to help you go through and support, push through, keeping yourself accountable?
Yes, absolutely. So asking myself rather than, is something possible? Asking a better question like, well, how can I get there? How can I make this amount of money? What's another strategy that I could implement that would help me to get the result that I want? Also, when you talked about focus, noticing where our focus is going, but actually like curating and directing our focus. So I've started implementing something where on my like desktop background, kind of almost like a vision board where I've got, some things that I really want to have happen in my life. And even just that little subtle, placement of that, it gets into my subconscious mind. And so, there's a part of our brain called the reticular activating system. I know a fancy kind of term there, but basically it helps us to seek out the things that we want and to help us go after them. And so when we're constantly feeding our mind more images, more words that are positive of what we want, then that helps us to be able to filter our environment for those things or potential new opportunities. So being able to, change your desktop background or put images like on your phone background, or if you just want to go ahead and make a vision board and post it, somewhere where you're going to see it regularly. Those are all great ways and positive reinforcements to really get into your subconscious mind and to really start anchoring those things in.
Yeah. And I know like a practical use case of that, you mentioned that this activating system that we have in our mind where we can really filter and like program it to filter for certain things, to be aware of certain things. Think about it. If we start looking at a particular car that we want to buy, and suddenly you might see that car everywhere, or at least that car color everywhere. But my bet is nothing hasn't really changed among everyone else. It's not that everyone else started looking and buying this kind of car that you're looking at. It's just that you now are very aware of this specific car that you're desired to buy.
Yeah, that's a great example.
So yeah, and it's lovely, Marcy. Program ourselves so we really have a filter that's going to support us. And to build upon this, another thing that we talked about in our last conversation was this: what kind of beliefs do we have around specifically money, around wealth? And one mentor that I've been studying, T. Harv Eker, he uses several sentences and statements that we can complete, like we can say out loud, complete them and fill in the blank. So think about this. When you listen to this, what comes to your mind? What do you feel? If I, for example, say, money is, or rich people are, becoming rich is, if I get a lot of money, I might. And fill in the blank. How does it make you feel? What do you think? I know for many, this gives some realizations that there might be something that's not really serving them. And there are more questions or statements we can use as well. Marcy, have you come across any people that, yeah, could answer such statements and you see that, there's some things that we can help them get rid of so they can serve themselves and people around them at a higher level?
Yes, absolutely. So I think asking yourself those questions is really a great way. I love what you brought up about T. Harv Eker. He's got those questions because when we're able to fill in the blank, then sometimes if you go through and you actually sit down and write out a bunch of questions and then go through kind of rapid fire, like get yourself in a relaxed state, and go ahead and answer those with just like the first thing that comes to your mind, even if it doesn't make sense, and just start dropping those things in, and then go back at the end and notice the answers and look at and see if you can find any patterns that will help you to be able to spot, gee, I'm noticing a pattern here of some sort of, maybe it's lack or scarcity or discomfort, or maybe it's even some family ties around money or wealth or having wealth or asking for money, receiving money. And that will really help clue you into where some of those might lie. So that's a fantastic exercise. And yeah, like I said, sometimes we can have, limiting beliefs that we're very conscious of. And then other times there might be things under the surface that we're not as conscious of, and asking those questions and taking the time, almost making the space to do that, is a great way to start getting to the bottom of that. Because once we actually know what they are, then we can start to change and shift them.
Yeah. And these unconscious things, when they come up, we might be surprised, as you mentioned as well. I'm not sure with you, but it happened to me, is completing some of these statements, and it's like, did I say that? I shouldn't be saying that.
Yeah, yes.
That's not
yes,
good.
I also had a few.
Scratch it out. Try again.
And just because those come up too, like, we're always going to have new things come up, or find new limiting beliefs potentially, as we continue to grow and expand, and as our wealth continues to grow and expand. So it's not one of those things where, oh, okay, I'm going to do this checklist, I'm going to revise all of my limiting beliefs, and ta-da, I am limiting belief free. And then all of a sudden you're making more money, and now you've come to a new level where you're like, oh, okay, what's going on here? Maybe something's not working. Maybe there's a challenge somewhere. So as we continue to level up, we have new challenges that we will encounter. Even the absolute like world-class mindset coaches in general, they go and they work with someone or do exercises for themselves to be able to uncover those and identify them. So it's a constant process, but definitely getting started and kicking it off and really digging in deep will make a huge like amount of, difference in someone's life.
I love that, Marcy. It's kind of like peeling an onion. You got
Absolutely,
layer,
yes.
You got layer after layer. And to help us on that journey, because it's all about layers, and as we grow, we will become aware of new things, other aspects. And then we can look to other people, find stories that's going to support the beliefs that we want to have, because someone has most likely walked the path before us, that someone has accomplished what we want. Then we can find both inspiration, and we can find, that encouragement that we need to keep moving forward by looking to other people who have accomplished things that we really want to have. So that's kind of like finding legs to a table to support it, where our beliefs is the tabletop. And we need to find enough support for the tabletop for our empowering beliefs, so we keep going. So because it's just a matter of time to be consistent, to be persistent, and getting habits for wealth creation that's going to support you long term. So look to people, find stories that are that will support your belief. Anything you want to add here, Marcy, before we wrap it up with the last 5th point?
Yes. So actually, I had a story that I wanted to maybe share with you in regards to a limiting belief that I had discovered a couple of years ago, that sometimes just in a moment, you can have a radical shift in a belief that maybe you weren't even aware that you had. So for me, and this might sound a little strange and isn't meant to offend anyone, but I had some limiting beliefs around old, rich white men, and how I thought that they were, not necessarily maybe the nicest people, or that they were greedy. I had all sorts of things going on that I wasn't as aware of. And one particular person who I absolutely adore to this day, amazing entrepreneur, absolutely broke that for me in an instant. And he wasn't even trying to. So he's an amazing man. Are you familiar with Michael Gerber?
I'm not familiar with him, no, not yet.
Okay. Not yet. He wrote the book, The E-Myth, and went on to write many more books and transform small business. I had the amazing privilege of being in a conference with him virtually a few years back. And we had been going through some other, mindset things of the day. And this was one of the first times I'd really, gotten to hear him speak and interact. And he's in his 80s. And I was sitting there thinking to myself while we were on this seminar, like, why is he here with us speaking? Like, he's not getting, he's not in it for the money. He's already made his fortune. And then he started going on in this room and doing like laser coaching with some of the participants there, like really digging in deep on their business. And he was so into it. You could tell he was just passionate. He just wanted to help other business owners and entrepreneurs. And it actually got like so emotional for some of us. It was incredible. And in that moment, like I could feel through the screen, I could feel how much he cared. He went way over on time and he just gave his heart. And to me, there was no other reason for someone like him to do that other than because he genuinely cared so much. And I felt that. And from that moment, it shattered that belief of like, oh, all old rich white guys are just in it for the money. And no, it's because when in that moment, I could feel how much he cared. You can't unsee that. You can't unfeel it. And it really broke that stereotype for me that I had that was very negative in my head and really allowed so many other doors to open up because of that. So yeah, it's funny how sometimes just in an instant of being in a place and having an experience that's contradictory to a limiting belief you might have can really suddenly just like blow the doors wide open and go, wow, there's this whole other possibility that my brain couldn't conceive of before now, that I thought one thing, but that's not actually true. So
Well, that's wonderful to go out there and get more experience so you can see for your own eyes. That's really powerful. That's the best kind of story we can have when you get to experience it on your own body. So I'm glad that on your behalf that you got to experience it.
me
And
too.
yeah, and to add upon it, like with rich people, yeah, like something I believe in the past is like, okay, well, wealthy people are greedy. And then, okay, look at, for example, Bill Gates. How much money aren't they donating? Like how many people can he impact because he's a successful entrepreneur? It's really powerful. How many lives, like, okay, I can touch on lives as well. And it's an amazing experience being able to, for example, help a family, the food, sponsor a kid's education. And how cool wouldn't it be when you can sponsor millions of people because of the kind of wealth? So it's amazing, Marcy.
Absolutely.
And all of this brings us to the last point, which ties it all together, which is coming back to our relationship with money. That's what we're actually talking about. What is your relationship with money? That ties it all together. It's everything here. The beliefs. Where is your focus? What are you telling yourself? What stories do you believe? It's the complete picture. It's our relationship with money. And comes back to, okay, peeling down this onion so that, yeah, and replacing, maybe adding a new empowering layer to the onion.
Yeah.
Marcy, before we do a recap, anything you would like to add to what we've been covering today?
Just to reiterate what you said, that absolutely, like there's all these different components and it ultimately comes down to your relationship with money. At the end of the day, when we think about money, even though we might think of it as like a physical thing, it's really just, metal or paper or numbers on a screen. And it's really almost like an energy. And so what is your relationship with that energy? Is it positive? Does it have complications? Like really taking time to examine that. And, if money was a person, how would you treat it? How would you talk to it? Would you, avoid it or call it names or run away from it or not, ask for time with it? So really like almost imagining money as a person and examining, well, how do I feel about this person? If money was named person. So really, taking the time to do that, I think is fantastic. And when we're able to change our relationship with ourselves and our relationship with money, then that allows it to grow and expand.
I was just thinking if money was a person wandering around, I was thinking of kidnapping the money. Come with me. Maybe give some luck to me.
Right.
Awesome. Marcin, we've been covering the power of visualizations, going fully into that, embrace it, step into it, feel it, breathe it, taste it, smell it, really experiencing it, seeing yourself already having accomplished what you want to accomplish. We talk about shifting your focus, and you can use questions. Questions are so powerful. You can shift your focus in instant and get clear on your beliefs. You can use statements and fill in the blanks to really get aware of, what is your onion filled with, and start peeling off the layers to get to the core, to the roots, so that you will have more clarity. What kind of beliefs do you have, so you can move forward to get the lifestyle that you really want? And we talked about look to stories, get experiences. Maybe you most likely have some experiences yourself. You can also look to other people. And all of this is tied together with, it is basically our relationship with money. Marcy, it's been a pleasure having you over again for Financial Success Secrets. I really appreciate you coming on, adding massive value here to enlighten the topic. Thanks. So let's do a remove, Marcy, and we'll see each other anytime soon.
All right. See you again soon.
Yeah. Ka-ching.
Please be aware, we are no financial advisors. We do not provide any advice. We only share our experience, and our results are not typical. If we mention any stocks, funds and other type of investments, it is for educational and illustrational purposes only. Most people are unable to achieve similar results to ours. If you want to achieve similar results, you have to commit yourself to systemize, to learn and to stick to the rules.